I saw Vinny, some guy in the box office already has one of those new Devils jerseys on.
Really?
What do you think of those? Off the air.
I don't know if our mics are hot or not.
Oh, okay. But anyway, we could say that anyway. What do you think of them, Vinny, the new jersey?
You know, they kind of grew on me over the last couple days.
Yeah. I think that sums it up. They're going to have to grow on people. They're not a first, wow, I like that.
Yeah.
I think you got to digest it a little bit.
I know things will be better. I know they will. Chico and the man.
Happy Devils Wednesday. This is Game Day Live. We're here at Taj Lounge 973. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Chico Resch, Devils Hockey Network. Big crowd here.
Thank you.
Also, we've got Vinny Parisi, Pucks and Pitchforks blog contributor, zooming in from Chicago. Big game tonight, Game 17, Devils versus the Minnesota Wild. Did they just get here, the Minnesota Wild?
Yeah, you know, they stayed in Manhattan last night for some reason. And I said at the time, my nephew is the one of the coaches. I said, did anyone calculate that Thanksgiving evening coming out of New York can be a nightmare? You know, everybody coming for Thanksgiving to different parts of New Jersey and beyond. So, yeah, they at 5:20 when I came over here, Sam, the Wild still hadn't arrived, but I'm sure they were close. But, yeah, anyway, that's not going to factor the game, but it was just interesting.
So, Vinny,
Yes,
what do you think about those jerseys?
Yeah, so when the jerseys first came out, we talked about it before the Lightning game. They weren't looking so good just seeing the picture in someone's closet. It was an interesting photo. But then once the pictures started to come out, seeing them on PK Subban and Ty Smith and Blackwood, Hischier and Jack especially, because those are the two guys on this team, they looked a little bit better to me. They're growing on me a little bit. I'm glad the word pants wasn't on the pants. That would have been really funny. But, you know, it is what it is. They're starting to grow on me as I take a look at them more and more. I really like the numbers on the back.
No, that's a good description, Vinny. I think that's a jersey like that is so starkly different. I think it's something that kind of has to grow on the fans. And I saw somebody in the box office tonight as I weave my way through there. He had one on. So obviously they're already on sale. And
$229 on NHL.com. You can get one.
No comment.
Wow.
I ain't
That's
buying
crazy.
one,
And I
but
was thinking about buying one, so we'll see if the Devils send me a little care package so I can promote the jersey throughout these parts.
Oh, nice try, Vinny. And I understand merchandise is a big part of hockey teams and all sports teams, and it's not cheap. And that just once again reinforces to me how wonderfully loyal and committed hockey and sports fans are. You know, not only do they come after work and fight the traffic, pay their money to come and watch their teams, but then they'll buy, merchandise. So real tribute to the fans of hockey as well as every sport, really.
Absolutely. And our Devils, they're coming off a big win. That Tampa Bay Lightning game, they didn't play well in the first two periods, and then they really turned it on and figured out a way to pull it out in the end. What are some of the things that you took away from that game as you were broadcasting it?
Well, there is a determination with this team. It's a young team, and, they had scored a goal in the first game against Florida, and they only had one going into the third. So I recognize they're not a quitting team. They're not going to be. They're going to go hard. But as we know, guys, you got to score 3 goals to win consistently. You can't score 1 or 2. And what I like best, they got up to 3. And then they got an empty net goal as well. But, we keep hoping that there's a 30-goal scorer somewhere in that lineup. Not sure who it's going to be just yet. But, it's nice to see the young guys. Sharon Govich got 2, and that was really a positive for me. And I think Mackenzie Blackwood bouncing back after, a so-so game in Florida. He bounced back, and you guys, that 2-on-0 glove save, that's the number 1 save of the year so far. Oh, that was sweet to watch. So a lot of things fell into place there in the third period.
I agree.
Chico.
And
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
See, you got a little delay.
Yeah.
Chico, Minnesota this year, kind of a little bit like the Devils, coming back, never giving up. I think a couple games ago they came back against Tampa, salvaged a point.
Got 2 points. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got 2 with their goalie pull. Two goals with their goalie pull. I am going to tell you here, if I can see this, they have scored 7. They've scored 7 6-on-5 goals this year. In how many games they played? 18? 7, where the goalie's been pulled.
Mm-hmm.
They have come back not just on Sunday, but they did it at home 2 or 3 times. They are a team that never quits. And they're a young, fast team. And then they got Kaprizov, who could be a 40-goal scorer. He's starting slow. They got a really solid defense. They got John Merrill and Kulikov, who were Devils, which I like that. And my nephew was telling me that they've been very solid. So they got a nice blend to their team. Young, old, defense is really solid, and their forwards can score when they're on the top of their game.
that's really good to hear. I've liked watching the Minnesota Wild play this year, and it's going to be interesting to see 2 teams that, have that similar never give up attitude play against one another. If one is up a goal down late, or up or down a goal late, the other's going to try and come back and do what they can to get that game tied. And, it's going to be interesting. And in this game, we have a little bit of a wrinkle to the lineup. It sounds like Ty Smith is going to be a healthy scratch for New Jersey, and Colton White is going to draw into the lineup. What are your thoughts on that? Because it seems to me like there are a couple things that can be good and bad from this move.
Well, you're right, Vinny, and you and I were talking. I mean, mostly it's good. Like Ty Smith has a great upside, but Ty Smith hasn't really kicked in like he did last year. He's got 3 points. They were all in one game. I've seen him make a few more mistakes that I didn't see last year, whether when he's pushing offensively. He said, I only got 3 points, and I kind of looked upon to create offense. Is he? And I've seen a couple times he's gotten out of position. He's taken some higher level risks that have worked against him. So I don't think this is going to be permanent. But then I was looking at Colton White, and I've been watching him. Being a goalie, you guys, I'm always seeing how's he doing in all areas defensively, because he's not going to be a goal scorer. Well, he's played 4 games. He's a +4. That means in those 4 games, the Devils have scored 4 more goals when he's on the ice than they've given up. And the other thing is, which is surprising, he's had 8 shots in those 4 games. That's an average of 2 a game, and that's a defenseman. He made a really nice pass in the Garden to Tatar. This guy, like the jersey, Colton White is growing on me, and I think the Devils want to see what do we have here, because they can't keep everybody. They're having a tremendous year, as you know, in Utica. They're like 13-0, and they got to find out. Just waving to some fans, got to find out what they really have. And you know what? As we saw with Alexander Holtz, the American League's a great training ground, but it's not the NHL. So you can't say just because someone has learned how to play the AHL game, they can play the NHL game. Holtz will get there, but he's not there yet. And I think with Colton White, I think they just want to see, what they have and what they could look forward to. And you know how trades and off-season deals are made all the time. You got to know your entire organization to know how you're going to get better.
It sounds like Mackenzie Blackwood is also just going to get another start and goal tonight. And we saw Team Canada release their jerseys for the Olympic Games coming up here. And Mackenzie Blackwood has his eyes on playing for that team. And I think he has a chance, especially if he continues to make saves like he did against the Tampa Bay Lightning. You alluded to it a little bit with a couple questions ago. What do you think Mackenzie Blackwood's ceiling is, and where can he go from here, and how does this impact this game?
Well, the fact that they came back with him after a Tampa game a Florida game where, being a goalie, technically his catching hand was a little low. He got beat twice with snipes. They were snipes, but they were over his glove. And normally when you see McKenzie on, he's got that glove up there, right? But mentally you can kind of lose it. But he was given the ball. They asked him to play back to back. Now McKenzie, what do you got? And I tell you that 2-on-0 save he made on Kaloran, best glove save I've seen all season long. And Jonathan Bernier is a terrific backup. He's going to play a lot of games. But a franchise needs to know, do we have a go-to number one goalie in our system? And that would be Mackenzie Blackwood. So they're going to ride him a little bit more. Nothing against Jonathan Bernier, but for me, I'm going to say, Mackenzie, we're going to ride you. We're going to push you a little bit. Let's see what you got. And tonight he's going to be tested again, Vinny and Sammy. This Wild team, they're good, and their offense, and they can bring it. So I'm happy he's in there, and I suspect he'll play well.
Do you believe, Chico, that the New Jersey Devils benefit even without him on the ice tonight? Do you think they benefit just by the mere thought of him being back at practice? I'm talking about Jack Hughes, of course, a player like that returning to practice, improving the team, or do you think it doesn't matter?
No, Vinny. Trust me. The game is so tough. If you're a player that starts thinking ahead like that, and when's he going to come back? And, Sharon Govich wants to play center. If Jack Hughes was there, maybe he wouldn't be a centerman or whatever. Honestly, I hear this a lot from media. Well, do you think this is going on in the room, these thoughts? I am telling you, it is so much one focus. You better take care of yourself and know what role you have, what position you're playing. And as we found out here with Ty Smith, this isn't anything to do with him particularly. The Devils are in a position where they got some internal competition. You better not think your position, it's just going to be given to you night after night if you're not playing well. So to think of Jack Hughes, Jack's a good guy. Guys like him. You like to see him around the room and kibitz with him and interact and all that stuff, and see him on the ice. That's true, but that doesn't carry over to a game, no.
Sure. And last time I talked to you, we talked about Dawson Mercer and how impressive he's been. And seeing Alexander Holtz get sent down and Ty Smith be a healthy scratch, you see some of these young guys go through some struggles, and then you watch Dawson Mercer play and just see how brilliant he's been so far this season and how much it's benefited the New Jersey Devils in the win column. Can you talk a little bit about, what you've seen since our last conversation and how he's truly elevated his game?
Well, young players, rookies, they always start pretty well. They're fired up, the emotion's going. And they go well for the first 5 or 6. But Dawson Mercer, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sound like a know-it-all, but most people would not see in a player what I see, only because I was a goalie. I knew the guys who had hockey sense. I knew the guys who weren't predictable under pressure. Dawson Mercer is not predictable, and he does things like that goal against Tampa Bay. What he's done now, remember, I watched Vasilevsky, and this is a little technical stuff, but Sharon Govich beats him twice. He's deep in the net. Like, don't get me wrong, Sharon Govich's shots were good, but Vasilevsky really kind of should have stopped those two. But that's okay. So then, when he sees this partial breakaway coming from Mercer, he says, I'm going to get my butt out. I'm going to challenge him. Mercer looks up and says, hey, he's outside the crease. I'm going to fake this, and I'm going to go around him. Then he's going around him, but he's behind the goal line, and he's got to get his wrists in a position to somehow get the puck and bring it back across the goal line. So my point is, hockey sense to set it up, physical skill to finish it off. I'm telling you, the guy is outstanding. He brought it here. He hasn't learned it since he's been playing now in the NHL. He's always been that. And what is the one thing we can think about? We won't discuss it too much. When Jack Hughes comes back, I'm just throwing this out here. I like Igor Sharangovich as a third-line center, if that's where he falls, because he's got a robust style and he's good defensively. Then you're going to have Nico Hischier, and you're going to have Jack Hughes. Could, and I think he could, but this is just my thought, could Dawson Mercer be moved to the wing with either Hischier or Jack Hughes? I'm just saying, with those four centermen, they can't all, and Mikey McLeod's a great fourth liner. It's just a thought, but let's chew on that a little bit. We won't know till Jack gets back, but Mercer.
Maybe the power play.
What's that?
Maybe the power play. Put four centers on the power play. Zacha, I consider Zacha center, but Zacha, Hischier, Hughes, and Mercer with Dougie Hamilton running the point.
Oh, yeah, you would,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't all four be centermen because they can't all play. If you got Hischier and Jack Hughes playing 15 minutes, 16 minutes just on 5-on-5 as a centerman, Mercer would be kind of where does he fit? That's why I would say I just think the guy has so much hockey sense. He's so smart. Him adjusting to the wing, it's not going to be like, oh, boy, I'm overwhelmed. Not going to be that way for him. And the way the game's played now, you guys, you start in the wing position in the centerman. But as the game unfolds or crisscrossing in the neutral zone, you got some free flow to it. So it's just a thought, because if Jack comes back and he's hot, then you'd have to say, okay, the only options are, do you move Mercer to third line, which he's not a third line centerman, and do you then move Sharon Govich to the wing? I'm thinking no. If Igor looks like that's his natural, and he was, when he was younger, he was a centerman, and you just say, Dawson, will you try the wing? I don't think it'd be much of an adjustment. So I was just thinking of that today, and I thought, that's a pretty nice option looking forward down the road. So we'll see how that unfolds.
Chico, we've got questions on the Facebook Live, facebook.com/Let's Go Devils podcast. Nate asks, with the news of Nathan Bastian is on waivers, should the Devils claim him or leave that hole empty for prospects?
That's a great point. Nathan Bastian got put on a team that can't score. And, that's what they're looking. So he's probably playing his game, but he's not, even with us. But I don't think now, I don't think the Devils can pick him up now. Because you got Holtz, a winger, coming up. Thompson's coming up. You don't want to have too many of the same role. So I would say, Nate, it's a good thought. But at this point, I would leave that alone.
Also, Corbin asks, Chico, do you see Jack Hughes becoming a 100-point-a-season player on a regular basis?
Oh, boy. Corbin, nobody could answer that, not even Jack. 100 points is a lot of points. I've said it before. Jack has incredible hockey sense. He's got incredible individual skills. But I'll say this, again, I'm not trying to know it all. Jack has got to figure out how to play the NHL game. The NHL game is not played the way he played it in the U.S. Junior League, in the minor leagues, even World Junior. He could just dominate, beat people. So Jack will figure that out, but I've got to see that step next. And then when he does, then we can really evaluate. He is not going to score 100 points by just razzle-dazzling. Maybe there's a couple players in the league that are fast enough, like McDavid can do that. And maybe Austin Matthews, but Jack's not that style of player. So, Jack will be very, very effective, but I don't want to hang that tag on him. 100 points is a lot.
One last question from Matt on Facebook Live. Who are you most impressed with in Utica?
Well, the goalies. Because, again, Jonathan Bernier's 32. He could be here for 2 or 3 years. But if I look around the league, there's some top-end goalies, and those teams do well. But there's also some goalies, that are sort of middle of the road. So if we could develop a goalie that somebody says, hey, this guy can be the foundation of our team, I can think of about 6 teams right off the top of my head. I won't give you now, but are looking for a goalie. So I think that's step one. And then, you're hoping for Holtz. We got to hope that Holtz finds it out because he's got big-time skill. And then I'm hoping defensively that one of those guys could step up because, there's going to be a change or two on defense in the next year or two. So I hope one of those can step up. But really, it's too early to tell now who's the front runner in terms of, except for Holtz. I mean, Holtz is going to get more chances because of his, just what he's done, and he got drafted, and he's got that big shot. I couldn't really say, but what I really like are the goalies. They got two terrific goalies down there that I think both have a shot at playing in the NHL.
One more
Absolutely.
question.
And
One more question on the YouTube live. I guess Tony must have missed it, but he wanted to ask you what you thought about the new jerseys.
Well, like we said, Tony, I mean, they were so starkly different. Yeah, it's a jersey that you have to analyze. You have to look at, right? And as Vinny was saying, he said it looked good on the players. But Vinny, it's got to look good on you, on Sammy, on me. That's what I'm kidding. It does look good in the shots of the players. But I saw somebody in the lobby, and that was to me an indication of what is this going to look like on fans. And it looked pretty good on the guy. I don't know who the guy was. He didn't have the number on, which I think is going to be a game changer once they get that number on.
Yeah.
And it's a nice third jersey. I don't think everybody's going to fall in love with it right off the bat. But the price, I don't think, Sammy, are they going to fall in love with the price? Not to start, but they will.
Yeah, they eventually will.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll probably give it and buy one. I mean, I'm against it only because I think the design, I think the story was great. A lot of thought was in. Obviously, Marty Brodeur putting his input. Now I'm wondering who's a better fashion designer, Marty Brodeur or Sean Avery. But the one thing I want to know, it says Jersey. If it said Devils, I'd be all for it. It just didn't. There was nothing that showed hockey and nothing that showed that it belongs to the New Jersey Devils. They paid homage to the Newark Bulldogs and all that. That was just my only complaint.
I think that was a very astute observation, Sam, and I'll go with that. I think you're reflecting the views of a lot of fans.
Yeah.
And
I mean, personally, I would like the logo, but if you're going to put something out there like that jersey, which isn't bad, but if it said Devils, then I know exactly where they came from, because I had to read that press release to understand how this jersey came about.
Yeah.
And but if it said Devils, I could have bought it right then and there.
Here's what I don't know. On either shoulder, is there a Devils logo? I don't know.
I don't think so. Vinny?
I don't believe that.
Vinny,
I
do you
don't
know
believe
that?
there is. I don't believe there is. There's stripes. There's a bunch of black and white stripes all over the place on the jersey. But the thing that I like about it now is how big of a story that this jersey has become. Literally everyone across the hockey community, fans of all 32 teams, are talking about this New Jersey Devils jersey, to the point where when Team USA released their jerseys today, they didn't get great reviews either. And people are commenting, well, at least the Devils are off the hook. Like, they are literally one of the big stories in the NHL right now. So that kind of makes me want one even more.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Gritty, the Flyers mascot, when they released that silly video and it came out, and even the Flyer fans were trashing on it, that all 32 teams, fans were trashing on Gritty. And then by the fourth day, all the Flyer fans were like, wait a second, you're trashing our mascot. We're supposed to be trashing, not you. And then they all rallied.
Defensive, yeah.
And then a week later, it's like all the Gritty love. And I think that's what may happen with this jersey. So, I may be harsh now, but if a Ranger fan came up to me and started making fun of me, then suddenly I'm going to defend the home turf.
Yeah, the other thing, and let's hope for this as I close here.
Yep.
I was in Minnesota. I knew people personally that developed the Wild logo. Mm-hmm. And I remember that summer, I'm doing a hockey school, and the guy who is very prominent, he didn't want to let it out. I said, well, what do you think? Corky was his name. What do you think you're going to call a team? Could be Wild. I thought, Minnesota Wild? Like, I'd never heard it.
Yeah.
And at first it was like, what? But then people fell in love with it. Now they get it. And now it's a great name for a team. So, let's hope the same thing happens with the jersey, because here's the bottom line. They score goals. and they put up W's in that jersey,
Yep.
we're all going to fall in love with it.
Oh, yeah. If the Devils rip off an 8-game winning streak just wearing that jersey, I'll give in. And you could double the price, and I'd still pay for it.
Exactly, Sammy. So, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Vinny, it's always good to see you, and the viewers, and Sammy, become good friends. So, thank you. I better get over there and see
Thank
if
you,
the Wild,
Chico.
see if the Wild made it. We were talking earlier, and you just jumped on at 5:20. Now, teams usually get to the arena 4:45, 5 at the latest. At 5:20, the Wild still wasn't here. So I'm sure they're here by now, but they got caught in traffic. So anyway,
Thank you, Chico.
Thank you for coming on. It was a
Yes.
pleasure to talk to you as always.
well, thank you guys, and let's have a real thankful Thanksgiving tomorrow. Huh?
Happy
To be
Thanksgiving
thankful
to you,
for.
Chico.
This is the greatest country. I'm Canadian, but I'm also American. It's a great country, and we got lots to celebrate. No negativism tomorrow,
Yep.
even with everything going on, right?
Yep,
Positive,
absolutely.
positive. Even if you're the Arizona Coyotes, try and be positive. Well, that poor team. But how about Scott Wedgwood?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
putting on a showdown there.
Absolutely.
So-
He's one of ours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Chico. Chico
Thank you.
Resch, everybody. Give him a hand.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And there goes Chico Resch. Devils Hockey Network, getting to the booth. Just don't trip over the cords, Chico. Please don't. We need you. Yep. Thank you, Chico. Yep. And Chico Resch, as he's talking to the fans, as he's leaving the bar. Pretty packed place. This is a bad camera angle, but see if I can move it over to Chico. Chico's talking to everybody. Vinny.
That's amazing. Chico's the best. Everybody in that bar should love and appreciate Chico Resch. I've been a fan since I was a little kid, so getting to talk to him is truly a dream come true. So, that was awesome.
Absolutely.
Great insight, as always.
Oh, absolutely. And go back to this camera angle. But, yeah, hey, Chico's a big fan of the podcast. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. He's going to be here more often here at Taj Lounge 973, where we eat the catfish. We are 4-2-2 when we have the catfish here at Taj Lounge 973. Vinny, we should go over tonight's predictions. This is going to be a tough one because the Devils have to play a full 60 minutes tonight. The Minnesota Wild, they're a good team. They're a fast team. They're a quick strike team. If they're down 4-0, no problem. They can put up 4 goals in a couple minutes. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to be high scoring?
If I'm New Jersey, I try to make it a low-scoring game if I can, because I think that would play into their favor a little bit more. So if I'm going to predict a win, I'm going to probably choose a lower score. But the Minnesota Wild are so good, and they're very young, and they play a tight game, and they're well coached, and they don't have that one guy. I mean, Kaprizov is turning into that guy, but for the longest time, they were just winning games by being a great team. And they're, like I said, always in sound position, play the puck well, back check, forecheck, everything you need to do to win hockey games. And that's why they're at the top of the hardest division in hockey right now, in my opinion, the Central Division. And they're probably going to be in that mix all year long. But for tonight, hopefully the Devils are able to catch them off guard a little bit and give them one of their rare losses. I'm going to say 2-1 Devils victory.
2-1. I think it's going to be a 6-5 victory in overtime for New Jersey Devils. I'll tell you the reason why, Vinny. I have a feeling they're going to be the comeback kids on this one. I think Minnesota is going to be all amped up. They take an early lead. It's going to be a back and forth. Then it's going to be 5-5 going into overtime, and just about a minute left. Sharon Govich will score the game-winning goal. The guy's going to catch fire. The pass is the pass. And then Jack Hughes is getting stronger, getting back in the mix. And then we're going to be all happy. And it's going to be a happy Devils Wednesday as we will have Devils After Dark after the game, post-game here at Taj Lounge 973. Scotty and I, Scotty from SiriusXM Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. That's what I think. I'm going to be smiling going into Thanksgiving as it's Thanksgiving Eve, right?
Absolutely. And,
Yeah?
I can't I can't thank Chico Resch enough for coming on the podcast. That was awesome, and I just wanted to say happy
Oh,
Thanksgiving to you and
absolutely.
all the fans there at
Yeah.
Taj Lounge 973. This was awesome.
Yeah, Chico is a friend of the podcast. Also, Ken Danico visited us down in Tampa Bay. Came out to our little podcast headquarters at Amalie Arena. Thank you, Kenny, for coming out. But yeah, the podcast is growing. Vinny, I looked at the numbers the month of November. We've already surpassed October.
Wow,
Can
very
you
good
believe
news.
that? We already
That's very
surpassed
good news for the podcast.
October. Very good news. I want to thank everybody that showed up at Taj Lounge 973. Want to thank Chico Resch. Want to thank Nick Villano. He's actually on the plane right now. I had to plug him in there. No State of the Fan address, normally at 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday night. I gave him the day off. I said, look, you got to be with your family for Thanksgiving. You got to get on that plane, Nick. Nick Villano, pucksandpitchforks.com, editor-in-chief, our boss as well.
Yeah, we appreciate Nick. Happy Thanksgiving to him as well.
All right, thank you. There's one guy clapping for me. I'm going to go to that camera angle. Thank you. All right, so cue the music. All right.
Absolutely, Sam.
we
Happy
normally do.
Thanksgiving to you and your family. And
Yep.
Let's go Devils.
Yep. We'll be back after the game. Devils After Dark here at Taj Lounge 973. Till next time, this is Game Day Live. Let's go Devils. Thank you. Vinny, if you can hear me, can you hear me? We're up. Hold on a
Yes,
second.
I can hear you.
Hold on.